back to the garage. Thanks for tuning in. Today I got another storytime video for you, and this storytime video is going to involve my 1945 Dodge WC 6x6 power wagon. First things first, I apologize about the conditions of this video. I'm from central Missouri, and over the last 2 days, day and a half, we've actually got 6 inches plus of rain, so you can see that the ground is absolutely just soaked. I mean, it's a mud pit, and I mean, it's flat ground where this thing was sitting at back in there. Just pulling it out with a bobcat, you can see the tracks and stuff that I made, so I'm gonna have to actually take this video in the garage and kind of tell you the backstory on this thing. But let me go over it and show you a little bit about this. Now this thing has actually got those weird military hubs on it again. You actually take these out, spin them around, and then put them back in, and that kind of disengages the four-wheel drive on this. It's got beadlock wheels. They're 6 inches wide and they're 16 inches tall, so mud tires will be kind of scarce to find in that size to put on this thing whenever I get around to working on it. But let me show you. Just got a regular flathead 6 in it. I actually came out here a while back and put new plugs in it, cleaned up the carburetor a little bit, put it back on. I'm still going to try to do a first start on this, even though I don't plan on keeping this engine in here. They had kind of a little half cab on it. They're actually made to have, I'll probably try to put a picture in the video of what they look like with the bed on it, but actually have kind of a flat bed on them, or a troop carrier bed. It's got a 3-speed manual transmission in it. A transfer case right there. That's the engage, disengage on that. You see the way the axles are set up. Kind of like just a 2-ton dump truck, almost like a camelback suspension on a Mack. It's got a central pivot point with this big heavy leaf spring. Goes down to both pockets on the axle. It's got the carrier for the drive shaft and the main drive shaft coming through it. To the rear axle, it's got torsion bars that keep the axles from pointing down too far whenever you're climbing over something. It's got the secondary drive shaft, secondary output. You can see that there's actually a bracket or a brace missing from here. I'm assuming when they took the bed off that they just chopped that out of there, but that won't be hard to recreate something, put back in there. Chunk of C-channel or something, get it made up. This thing is definitely unusual. I guess whenever the war was over, they sent a lot of these back to the West Coast, because there's actually places that sell parts for these on the West Coast that you can still buy and fix these things up. But in central Missouri, where I'm from, this is just kind of weird to see one of these. And it's a power wagon. I mean, it's not a deuce and a half. It's the size of a pickup. It's starting to sleet a lot more, so I'll probably take this video into the garage and tell you the backstory of how I bought it and what my plans are for it. So flashback 4 years ago, before I had the rollback, before I really had a trailer, I seen this 6x6 in an auction flyer. Now the auction flyer had an insane amount of equipment. I mean, the family that owned this thing, it was one guy. He lived in the town of Bland, Missouri, and he worked all of his life in an asphalt plant near St. Louis called Fred Weber. Now Fred Weber would pave the highways, they would do, you know, all the main streets in St. Louis. I mean, it was a huge outfit. So they had all kinds of really neat machinery, and I would assume that this guy not only bought stuff from auctions himself, but purchased stuff through his company whenever they would go to get rid of it. Now, I seen this thing, like I said, on the flyer, front and center, and that was the main thing that I was interested in at this auction. But from some of my other videos, you may notice there's a white GMC dump truck with a blue bed. That also came from there as well, and I'll probably do a separate video on it showing you around. But I seen this flyer for this auction, and I kind of thought over the last couple weeks before this thing's coming up, what would I really pay for this thing if I get to the auction and I see it and it goes for the price I want? What's my cutoff? So It's very unusual to find one of those around Missouri. I know they're all on the West Coast. I thought for sure this thing was going to bring anywhere from $800 to $1,000. And whenever I got to the auction, there were a ton of people swarmed around this thing looking it over, and I pretty much thought right then and there that there was no chance that I would buy it. This auction was at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday when it was 18 degrees with a negative wind chill. So you can only imagine there was a lot of people that showed up to this thing, looked around, and then left because the weather was absolutely terrible. So I get there, as soon as they get up to the auction block on this thing, it starts off at 125 bucks. So I get in on it. There's one or two other people that go in against me bidding on it. Long story short, I buy this thing sitting outside for $375. I've never been more thrilled about buying anything from an auction before, and I thought I was going to end up paying a lot more than that for this. Now, it's a military vehicle, so there's no title for it, which really doesn't bother me because it's not like it's something that just doesn't have a title or there's something screwed up with it. The military figures everything that they have is an asset, so nothing really has a title except for the newer vehicles like the Hummers and the Oshkosh trucks that they have now. I was absolutely thrilled at what I paid for it. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I didn't have my rollback. I didn't really have a trailer at the time. So as this auction started, this vehicle that I bought down here sold very early in the morning, and I kind of thought through the day, well, I'll just have somebody come with a rollback, a towing company, and come and get it. And long story short, they actually sold the gooseneck trailer there that didn't have a title as well, but I went ahead and bought it, and I hauled this thing home on it. So I'll probably throw a picture in there if I still have it, of hauling it home with my 96 regular cab 4-wheel drive V10 5-speed Dodge that I had back in the day that I missed dearly, never should have sold, but maybe that's for another video. What are my plans for it, you might say? Well, I went to the auction going to buy this pretty much knowing in my head that this thing probably didn't have a title, being an old military vehicle, and that didn't bother me because all I'm really interested in is the drivetrain of it. Now, the plan that I got going on in my head is either put a older 40s, 50s, International or Studebaker cab on this truck. I really thought about a Dodge cab, and that's kind of where I was at that auction a while back in the Bobcat video, trying to buy that 50s model Dodge. I was thinking about putting a Dodge cab on it, but now that I got this 1-ton Dodge outside, I think I'm going to either go with an International or a Studebaker, and I'll try to throw in a picture of the trucks that I'm talking about. Now, what I have plans for a drivetrain I may kind of talk about in another video. It will be a diesel swap, and know before you say it, it's not going to be a 4 or 6-cylinder Cummins, no Volkswagen TDI, anything like that. We're going to go with a mechanical diesel. Something a little bit oddball, I would say, but that'll be for another video. Now, normally an auction of this caliber would take 2 or 3 days, but they sold every bit of this guy's collection in one single day, which is actually kind of sad. Some of the stuff towards the end of the auction just pretty much went for below scrap price, so I could have bought a lot more, but I kind of had to withhold myself because I have a lot of stuff on my property as well. So yeah, it was just crazy to see that they sold everything in one single day. Thank you very much for watching this impromptu video. The weather's getting pretty nasty outside. It's starting to sleet a lot heavier. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but I may have to actually go into work and spread some salt, and I'm really looking forward to that. But thank you very much for watching the video. If you would also check out my buddies at Central Oregon Shenanigans and the Fox Shop. Their channel links will be in the video description below. But give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment or a question down below. Consider subscribing if this is the kind of content that you're into. And just a friendly reminder that it doesn't matter if you're working on your project in a garage or in your driveway. What matters is that you go out there, you do the job yourself, and you learn more about your project, whatever that project may be. My name is Zane, and I'll catch you next time.